You're listening to the OMG Hour.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 344 of the OMG Hour. We are your onerously miserable Gorgons. And, of course, I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane.
And I am Tico, Mr. Second Place, here once again on this fine Friday evening.
It is a fine Friday evening. We've got a lot of stuff to deal with today. We've got an interview coming up later. Of course, last week we talked about the Tilt 5 augmented reality tabletop gaming system, and if we had an opportunity to sit down with Jeri Ellsworth, the CEO of Tilt 5, and talk to her. So look forward to that later in the show, right smack dab in the middle. That's when we're going to have that interview. But now we have games to talk about, and we've got two brand new games to talk about.
All right, so I'm
Tico,
going to start with the lovely and amazing Petoons Party.
I was just going to ask you to do that. How did you know I wanted you to do that first?
Well, because you let me talk. That's usually an indication that I got to pick. So, so Petoons Party came out on consoles. This is Xbox and PlayStation, I believe. It is like a Mario Party type game, but like without. It's like if you wanted to play Mario Party, but didn't want to pay for the rights of any of the characters. It's like, let's take that, and like it's a whole bunch of mini games that you play, quick time events, and I mean it's what you'd expect for an off-brand Mario Party is what it is.
It is so off-brand. It's not even funny. Like the characters look like nothing we've ever seen before. They almost, this is terrible to say. They look like they were created by a grade school student.
Yeah. It's,
like out of Play-Doh or something.
Now, that being said, it struggles from a few, loading screen issues and, the need to give me a tutorial every single time I start up a mini game. It's like, I've played this one 50 times already, and it's the exact same as the other 12 that are exactly like this in just a slightly different setting. I don't need the walkthrough every time. Just let me.
Right.
In any case, the mini games, once you get started, are actually pretty fun. There's some slowdown and some stuff like that you run into some little things here. It is a fun party game. It's not too expensive. I don't believe that it's a 4-player Mario Party type of game. There's no story involved with it or anything like that. There's a couple of different modes. So you have your mini game quick attack mode, and then you actually have like a board game mode where it's like a top down of like a path, and you have to reach a certain thing. That doesn't really seem to matter if you reach the end first or not. It's whoever gets the most points in the match wins.
That's the same as Mario Party, right?
Yeah.
Number of stars.
And then like you face off against like the boss or witch, at the end of the.
Or which boss?
Which boss? The witch. The
which
witch
boss? Which boss?
The witchy. That one there.
The witch
green
boss?
One.
Which boss?
The green one right there.
That's the witch boss?
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's probably about like 50 different mini games, but like a bunch of them are the same thing. Like there's one where it's you have to like do like a Guitar Hero thing where you have to hit a button as they pass through a thing, and there's like 3 different venues that you have to do. So it doesn't really change up what you're doing. It just like changes the locale of it a little bit. So there's probably about, I'd say, I don't know, 15, 20 unique mini games in it.
Okay, well that's not very many.
It's not, and then they're differently skinned in order to say, oh, like, well, this one here is like the Farmhouse Jam, thing, and this one here is like the Caribbean Jam, but it's the same thing.
Same game, just different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like it doesn't make it any more difficult. It doesn't do anything really to change up what you're doing. It's just changing the locale of it. So. And
you got this for review, or?
I got this as a review copy.
Okay.
I mean, that being said, it's something I probably would have pushed a button on anyways at some point in my life.
You are the
right
chief
up
button
my alley.
presser.
for that sort of thing. It is. I mean, I've actually had some fun with it. A little bit of like the things I didn't care for was having to get that tutorial like there should be an option to turn off the tutorial. Like I understand the concept of this game. The first 12 times you told me, I don't need the little intro.
Well, if you have friends over, if you have a bunch of friends over, is this something you would crack out? Would you open up this game and say, "Let's play Petoons Party"?
I don't have friends, Sean.
I said if. It was a hypothetical situation, Tico.
If that were to ever happen, I do not think that this is a game that I would do. If I was going to play this style of game, I would probably, crack open the Switch and play Mario Party and take the licensed characters that I'm familiar with for a run as opposed to this.
Okay. But this is the closest thing you've got if you want something like this on Xbox.
No, Xbox has a bunch of these.
Well, Xbox has got the You Don't Know Jack Party Pack, right? Which
the You Don't Know Jack is much more fun. Like that's not necessarily mini games, as trivia games and stuff like that. So that's a big difference, and that's not controller based as well. That's phone based on You Don't Know Jack.
That's true.
So it gets more people involved.
So is this a buy or a don't buy?
I would probably not buy this.
Okay.
I would. I mean, I hate.
I mean, if you're not a button presser, don't buy it.
Yeah, like it is. I mean, listen. As an achievement guy, the achievements do. I listen. People do buy games solely for achievements. As an achievement guy, this thing does feed you out achievements pretty easily and pretty quickly. So you could probably get a full 1,000 on this with not too much effort to put into it. It's like the mini games. I think that they're not varied enough. Like you run into the same video games, like the same mini games every like three games or so. It's like, yeah, I've just did this one.
Oh, okay.
So I felt it was sort of lacking some depth.
Fair enough. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted there. My cat was puking over in the corner, so that's just great.
You're like, what is he looking at? What is going on in there?
I heard something very strange going on, and sure enough, oh, okay. So that's got to sit there for the next hour while we're recording. That's great.
Yep.
Okay, so this week we have an awesome game to talk about. You and I were both very fortunate enough to get the gold edition of Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Ultimate edition.
Well, Ubisoft gave us the gold edition so that we could play early.
No, there's like there's three. There's the Ultimate Edition, there's the Gold Edition, and then there's the regular edition. We got Ultimate Edition.
We were given the gold edition, Tico.
Were we?
Yes.
Oh, I was under the Ultimate impression.
So anyway, that allowed us to start early. We got to play this week. It actually launched today. Today is October 4th. And I played in the beta. I played in both the closed beta and the open beta. And you know what? I'm loving this game. This is not a perfect game by any means. Let's get some of the things out of the way first, shall we? There is a lot of glitches and bugs in this game. I've found it doesn't like going to sleep, for example. If you shut your console down and leave the game running, when it comes back and it wants to reconnect, it seems to have this like reconnection loop. It just never reconnects. And so you have to actually shut the game down and restart it.
Okay, I do that every time, actually. Because this is a persistent online game.
Yes, and I think that's the problem. I
actually go to the log off and then log back on every time I go into it.
I'm talking about, I do log off, but if you don't quit the game, it freezes when it tries to load up again.
Okay, I'm not getting freezing on the Xbox. I do get a little error code that says, "Hey, this game disconnected from the internet. What's the matter with you? How dare you?"
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, is I'm not getting that error, and then it tries to load, and it's not. It just sits there forever. I have to quit the game to get it to actually load. I've had controls freeze up on me. Like I cleared out a whole area, went down into the building, and suddenly my triggers did nothing. I could still walk, I could still bring up the map, I could fast travel. So the face buttons were all working, but none of the triggers or bumpers were working. So I had no guns, no weapons of any kind. I could essentially move around. That was it. So
Yeah,
I've had some bugs and glitches happen in the game already. It is very early. I guarantee you there's going to be a patch this weekend. I mean, that's just,
yeah,
it's releasing today. There's probably a patch coming very soon.
probably a patch on right now.
Yeah, could
Right.
be. But the game is fantastic.
It is fun. Glitches and all. The game is fun to play. I know you and I hopped in and played a little bit the other day, and the fun little bit happened where we finished up and I left, and you were still in the zone that we had just finished clearing out entirely, and as soon as I left,
Everyone
every
appeared
single
again.
enemy reappeared with you just standing there.
Because I had joined your game,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So then you left, and it essentially went back to my game, and every single enemy in the area we just cleared suddenly appeared all around me. Luckily, I was in a place where they didn't see me. All of a sudden, I'm just walking around thinking the place is clear, and I'm collecting intel. I'm doing whatever, right? And suddenly, I hear voices, like guard enemy voices. I'm like, wait, what? And I look at the mini map, and sure enough, it's just nothing but red all the way around me. I'm like, oh crap! Every single enemy just reappeared, which is, I don't think that should happen. For one thing, I don't know if that's another glitch. Because if you drop out of my game or out of a game, it shouldn't just repopulate every enemy we've taken out.
No, not just popping them back in. And I've had that actually happen even while I've been playing single player, just and going through an area and stuff like that, where I've had enemies just have all of a sudden just appeared beside me, particularly inside of bases and buildings. I've had that happen.
Yes, I've had that too. I had targeted every character every enemy in the building, so I knew where they were, and suddenly a guy came running up the stairs that was not there 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's like a broken monster closet or something like that.
Yeah, I think the stealth is fantastic in this game. It works really well. All the controls, like, they feel good. Every gun feels really good.
Yeah.
There's something about that the sound you get when you actually hit a target, like, it's a very satisfying sound,
Yeah.
through boom, like, I don't even know what the sound is, like, I don't know, I can't even describe what the sound is, but it's a very satisfying, definitely you hit your target,
Yeah.
but the guns all feel good. I think the scopes feel good. It's fairly easy to hit your target if you're steady,
Yeah.
and if you're not shooting haphazardly, you can pretty much hit your targets if you really just kind of take your time to aim, especially when you're trying to take down helicopters like that.
Yeah, I've taken down a couple of helicopters. Those are fun to sort of take out. I haven't managed to snipe the chopper yet, but I have taken out a couple of choppers.
I love trying to snipe the driver, the pilot of if you snipe the pilot of a helicopter, at least in Recon or Wildlands, I used to be able to do that, right? You snipe the driver and the whole helicopter just goes down.
Well, that's how that works. I mean, if anybody's ever seen an action movie from
Right?
the 80s, that's how that works.
That's
I
how
mean,
it
you should
works.
be able to just throw your knife at him and take him out.
If you're Rambo.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, here's the thing I'm not crazy about. I felt with Wildlands there was a very distinct story going on. There is a story going on here. It's a very distinct story, for sure. But in Wildlands, I felt like it was
Linear.
It was linear. Like, take down this guy to open up, hit the people that are like, you start at the underlings and work your way up to the boss.
Yeah.
Right? And you go into the underlings area and you start working that area and you wear down the boss, essentially, right, for that area. And then eventually you learn his location, and then you go to his location, you take him down. And that it now gives you another clue as to where his boss is, and so on. It was understandable. This is what I do. There was a sequence of events. Do this group, and then do this group, and you went around the map and did that. It worked well.
Yeah.
I don't find that in this game. In Breakpoint, there doesn't seem to be I don't know. It's just the
It's not a clear path. So what
No.
they've done, normally what and you and I are both similar to this. We go into area 1, we do some main story missions, we clear out some of the side missions. We want to clear an area of all of the missions available. And this one here, the missions are spread out. Like, you accept a mission from a guy, it's not in that zone. It's like halfway across the map. You have to go to finish it. And so you're not getting that sense of, I've completed this zone or this area.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you're sort of you're all over the place. You're going all over the place to sort of move these things. So I'm going over here, and it feels like I've walked away from this area now, and it feels odd because I maybe stuff I have to come back to this area for. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also that there's clues you have to get for these. I don't know what they're called, questions or like mysteries that you have to try to solve, and that you find clues. And then there's faction missions. There's your main missions. There's side missions. There's all these different kinds of missions.
Yeah.
And it gets confusing as to what should I be doing. You know, like there's like I said earlier, there's no clear path as to you should be doing this and then this and then this. There is just zero clear path here. They've just said, here's a bunch of stuff to do. Go do it. And you're kind of left to your own devices to decide what to do next. Now, in some cases, that's great. It opens up the world, and the entire world is open to you. So they're not leveled zones at all. Right?
No, there are certain areas that are...
There are some areas that are like super high level.
Yeah.
Right? And you will be told that as soon as you enter the area. Tonight I went into a zone that said high level area, danger or something.
Well,
right?
we took out that base where I somehow got into the building and you couldn't figure out where the door was, and I just stabbed like 400 people.
Yeah. And that was a high level area. That was an elite mission. So I took on an elite mission on my own the next day. So they are definitely more difficult. Here's the weird thing about the elite mission I was on. I probably died, I'm not even kidding, probably 5 or 6 times trying to clear this area. Every time you die, it respawns you somewhere around the area. Somewhere close by.
Yeah.
But the entire area is reset. So all the work you just did, there could be one guy left. If he kills you, the entire area repopulates. Right? But this area had a couple of those drones, on like the driving drones, the tanks.
Oh, I hate those things.
It had a couple of those, like, the whole time I was trying to do this. The final time when I finally cleared it, but I think the only reason I cleared it, Tika, was because when it respawned me and I went back in, those drones were nowhere to be seen. They were just gone.
They were just... Maybe the game felt bad for you.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, honestly, I'm wondering if it got to a point where the game eased back the difficulty because I had died so many. And I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I experienced. Suddenly those drones were gone, and it made it easier because it was just humans I was dealing with now.
Yeah.
Because those tanks are ridiculous.
They are not easy because you have to hit them to get them to expose their core.
Yes.
And then shoot their core. Like, so you have to hit them with a grenade.
Oh my gosh, and they move so fast.
Yeah. And it's usually they'll also call a whole bunch of other things in, so you're dealing with trying to attack that. Well,
yes.
You're getting flanked and...
Yeah, I mean, this game has some great difficulty. It is so much... I love the game. I loved Wildlands. I completed it 100%. There was nothing left to do in Wildlands. I didn't do a lot of the DLC in Wildlands, though, because I didn't like how the Wildlands DLC didn't just continue. It was a whole new chapter, and you had to...
It's a new character, respec and everything.
You had to create a whole new character, and I'm like, I don't want to create a character when I just spent, like... 85 hours with this character, getting this character to where I want him to be, and now you want me to start a brand new character with new weapons and new items?
Yeah.
I want to play my character with new missions, and I hope they do that here. I hope the DLC is all within the same world and just adds new missions with your character.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I'm really enjoying this so far. Like, and it is it's satisfying to pick up if you want to play for like a 10-minute mission, or if you want to play for several hours. It's satisfying on both sides. Like
It is.
like a lot of times, like these sort of games, it's like, well, I don't want to get too involved, but you can hop in and do a side mission really easily, and it because you can do the side missions whenever you want, it doesn't feel like you're missing out on a ton of story because you're just trying to fire through something really quickly.
I have had, however, I'll just go do this one mission. And I did.
Oh, and
I did
it
one.
strings.
I did one. No, I did one mission, but that one
Yeah.
mission took me over 2 hours to do.
Oh, I've had a couple that string string objectives. It's like, go to this spot and talk to this person, and they're like, and go over here, and then okay, go clear out this base. I'm like, okay, this is the mission part. I'm going to clear out the base. I clear out the base. It's like, now take this thing back to the first guy you talked to.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, and then it's like that's like, oh, there's another base 2 kilometers to the left of this base that we also want. Okay, and then you're just doing step by step, and you're like, now you've gotten you're committed to this mission because
Yeah, I just went in. I wanted to clear out a base. So I spent some time clearing out a base, and then Dorothy came down. We're gonna watch some TV. I'm like, okay, just let me finish up this mission. It was like 30 minutes later I could actually shut it down, because you can't just stop in the middle of clearing an area, because like I said, as soon as you restart, it'll be completely
back.
repopulated. So I'm like, I can't quit in the middle of clearing a base, because I don't want to have to do it all again. Even though I do enjoy doing it. I love the stealth. I play very stealth in this game. Like I sniper guys from as far away as I can get.
Listen, I have been doing a lot of that too. I nailed a guy from 300 whatever unit of measurements
meters
they're using. Meters. 300 meters. I sniped a guy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm enjoying that a lot. I will say this, when you are running in the game and you've got your sniper rifle attached to your back, it looks ridiculous.
Because it's so long.
Because
it's huge.
that with the silencer on it, and you're running, and this thing is like, it's hitting the ground. Like it looks like it's like a 7-foot gun that you're running, and this thing's just waggling off your back at the same time, and it does look a little weird.
The equipment in this game is right out of the Division. Yes, you have equipment level as well as... Oh, it's funny, the equipment comes up now. You have equipment level as well as your XP level. So the better the weapons, the higher your equipment level. I do find it funny, Tico, that I can get a baseball cap that has a higher gear level than like this metal helmet.
Well, gear level is not armor level, because it's the level, and depending on what that baseball hat does, it might, that baseball cap might help you reload faster.
Right. No, because they have
accuracy.
Yeah, so you have gray, green, blue. I don't know if there's purple. Is there purple?
There will be purple, and then orange will be the legendary.
The orange, and it has a star on it. When you get to those, I don't know if it's called legendary or not.
It is called legendary. I can tell you that from the achievements, because there is one for equipping a legendary weapon.
Okay, I have a legendary, and I didn't get anything pop up for it.
Do you have a legendary weapon?
Yeah, I do. I've got a couple.
Where'd you get legendary weapons?
I don't know. It's a blueprint. I printed it.
Well,
so
are you sure it's legendary? Is it orange? Is the weapon orange?
It has a star on it.
Well, that might just mean it's
so
got a star on it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's legendary.
Where the slashes are to indicate the yellow, the green, whatever, it's a star instead of lines. So it's an orange star or yellow star. So once you get to green and blue, they have extra stats added to the weapons and the armor and whatever. But I just find it funny that I can have a baseball cap that has better gear level than a hard hat or like a military helmet.
Listen, obviously nothing about the actual military and how hats work, Sean.
Apparently, baseball cap is better than a metal cap.
Because it keeps your hair out of your eyes and protects the back of your neck when you wear it backwards like that from the sun.
Excellent.
So you're preventing, back of the neck cancer by doing that.
Oh, also before we wrap this up, because we really need to move on. I do find that the enemies in this don't know how to swim. I was beside a stream, just a stream, not a river, And I was on the other side of the stream, and they went all the way down to the road, around, and back up again to get to me, instead of just crossing the stream right in front of me. So they basically just said, here, shoot me while I'm running away from you. So
They might all have suede boots.
it's possible.
And they're worried about that. I do find that, like, in this vast, this very beautiful environment that they've given you for this game, the wildlife is something that I find that's sort of lacking. When they, considering that they've done fantastic things with wildlife and stuff like that in games like Far Cry, it really feels a little barren for that.
There are some animals, but they're few and far between for sure.
And they're meaningless too. Like
they are, yes.
Like they're like, oh, there's a warthog or whatever. Like, oh, I'm gonna kill him, and like I don't get any. I would expect if I kill a warthog, I should get a sniper rifle or, a pair of cargo pants out of that. Like, like you should expect when you kill animals in the wild, you get clearly bullets or health packs.
You get protein for building your rations.
Yeah.
In your crafting. So anyway, that is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's a definite buy for me. This is fantastic. Yes. I love it. And if you loved Wildlands, then this is just more of the great gameplay of Wildlands. So, all right, we have a fantastic interview we have to get to. So we're going to skip over the bits of news that we wanted to talk about today. But last week we introduced you to Tilt 5, the augmented reality, the AR gaming platform for tabletop games. And so we were able to sit down with Jeri Ellsworth, who is the CEO of Tilt 5, and talk to her about that, about the Kickstarter, and when to expect it and how much it is, that sort of thing. So let's have a look at that interview now. All right. So why don't we dive into Tilt 5 completely now and tell us, like, what is the Tilt 5 hardware? How does it work? What do you see in the future, and what are you looking to do right now?
Oh, great. Yeah. So Tilt 5 has gone through multiple iterations to get to this point, and it's taken quite a bit of time. When I first started this, working in AR, there was barely enough technology to make any of this stuff work. And in recent years, we've been able to shrink the size of the headset down to something that's super lightweight, and it's just featherweight. Yeah. It's 85 grams. You can just slip the glasses on, and you can wear them all day. I mean, they're still kind of dork glasses, but
but they're comfortable dork glasses.
They're comfortable. We've been able to, through some clever techniques in the headset, we've been able to make it so you can run this on cell phones, which is really important. So inside the headset, there's this chip that's doing this thing called reprojection. It means that we can run multiple headsets off of a single computer, like a PC, or we can run one off of an Android cell phone, future operating systems for cell phones in the future. We've expanded the field of view in our glasses so that it absolutely just fills the entire table with graphics, and that's really important for a tabletop experience. Wow. And our optical system is in focus through the entire range that you would use it for tabletop games. So you can stick your nose right into the game board and be like 3 or 4 inches away from the virtual objects, and they're in focus. And if you're like a couple meters away, like 6 feet or so, it's still in focus. And then the system also has these really cool attributes for focus as well. So when you use our wand, which is it's 6 degrees of freedom, lets you kind of carve through 3D space and point and click on things. But you can actually have objects right at the tip of the wand, and you can focus on the wand and on the virtual objects at the same time, which is super unique. No other AR system allows you to have in focus like that, where you can look at the real world objects and the virtual objects. And another example is if you take your mini, like this dragon, you want to shoot virtual flames, you can actually focus on the virtual flames, and you can focus on the mini as well. So we've done a lot of innovations in the optics. And then the cost of the system, we've been able to get it down to $299 for the base kit, which is pretty phenomenal, considering like systems that can't even do this kind of up close stuff are still $2,500 to $3,500.
Yep.
And so we're doing our Kickstarter now, and we have a couple different tiers that people can participate in. We have our base kit, which is $2.99. We have one that's a little bit more deluxe, which has a bigger game board, like a more of a D&D centric board game that you can do some really cool stuff with. And then we have a group pack, which has the big game board and 3 headsets for a little bit cheaper price per headset.
Now, the game board itself, like you only see the objects on the game board. Is that how it works?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that's the trade-off that we made. So we had 2 choices when we were doing this product. So we could just go down the same path as the folks that are doing the super expensive headsets, and then our headset would be super expensive and no one could afford it. Or we can make these compromises to make it work really well for tabletop experiences. And as I mentioned earlier when we were chatting, like having launched Cast AR, we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And one of those lessons we learned was do one thing really, really well and then expand from there. You know, when we took the venture capital money, they wanted us to go in every different direction and you lose your focus. So we focused on tabletop games for our first experiences. So, you know, like I said earlier, everything you love about video games and everything you love about board games blended together. And then you can choose, you know, either as a game developer or as a player, like where in that spectrum you want to be. Do you want to be mostly cardboard and plastic pieces and only have a little bit of augmentation to it? Or do you want to be completely virtual and you just have absolutely everything virtual in it?
Right.
And it's been a learning experience. So I've been at this for like 5 years building this product, and my team has. Like, we've been together for a very long time. And so kind of funny story around this, like very early on, I'm like, hey, this will be great for like Warhammer. And I've never played Warhammer before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I played a lot of tabletop games before, but not Warhammer. So I go to one of the local meetups for Warhammer, and I go prancing in there. And I'm like, guys, I got the thing for you. You know, forget about all your little miniatures that you're painting up. We'll just virtualize all those, and it'll be so great. And like, that's what I got.
Well, that's because they pride themselves on their miniatures. That's what the whole Warhammer and Lord of the Rings Warhammer. I have a friend of mine who does Lord of the Rings Warhammer. It's all about the paint jobs because they get awards for the best painted army. Right? So it's like you want to take away their pride and joy, and they're not going to have anything to do with it. But when you mentioned Warhammer there, all I could think of was a game like Gloomhaven. What an amazing game that would be in AR on Tilt 5. Like, because that game has... I got
Gloomhaven over here on the shelf, and it's so complicated. I haven't got time to sit down and figure it out.
And that's just it. There are so many pieces and so much involved in actually setting up the game just to play it, that if it was virtual on the table like that, it would be amazing. Right?
Oh, and like if you don't want fully virtual, then having like rule assistance and difficulty leveling between players, that's super exciting for me. Like one of my frustrations is my friends, let's just use Gloomhaven for an example. So Gloomhaven, they get it and they play it for like 3 months before I get a chance to go over and play with them. They know all the rules. I walk in, I'm at a deficit because they know all the rules. But now we could put on our glasses and we don't have to have a ton of augmentation on the actual Gloomhaven board game itself. We could just play it on our mat and you put the pieces down, but then I have hints. Like it's just detecting the pieces and it's like, well, maybe you should consider doing this or that. And because each one of our headsets, you get a private display. People around you don't necessarily have to be in the know about what's happening. Like so, the tactics that the computer is telling you to do won't be revealed to them, so it won't be giving away your next move.
Right.
And that's another kind of cool part of our system. Actually, before I go on to like the Fog of War, I want to go back to the Warhammer and finish off that story because it's kind of like key to like the way I think about things now. I've learned my lesson after getting a couple black eyes and teeth knocked in. I mean, literally, I think they probably would have knocked my teeth in if I would have kept going. I I went back and thought about it. I'm like, okay, how can we actually provide benefit to the folks that play Warhammer? I'm like, well, I noticed that they take little pieces of cotton. There was like a tank game they were playing, or like a World War II sim going in the same room. Like, oh, they take a little piece of cotton, they dye it red, and they stick it on the, quarter panel of the tank, and that indicates there's damage or it's catching fire. Like, oh, well, I could just drag and drop that with our wand. I could just have like a menu. They could just like bring fire over and drag it out and smoke, or click on the actual miniature and have a hit radius show up for them, or a line of
Oh,
sight.
wow. Yeah, you're
Oh.
I
right.
went back and I talked to folks, and they're like, "Now that would be cool." And then I expanded on it, like, well, it's difficult getting all your friends together to play. I mean, it's a serious commitment. But what if you could do, it might be toned down a little bit, but kind of a light version of Warhammer, where you virtualize some of your like tanks and miniatures and stuff. So when you take your dragon and you put it down, on your side you see the physical dragon, but across the internet, because you've linked your game boards together, you see a holographic version on the remote game board.
Right.
So now you can actually play when you're apart. And our headset has speakers and microphone built in, so you can do, TeamSpeak and all these different chat clients. And we did a bunch of experiments around this, and people found that it actually feels like you're having the shared communal experience, like you're almost in the same room together when you see objects moving around the table or being moved by other people at distance.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we can track your hands too, so there's a lot of really cool things you can do with hand tracking. Like my kind of favorite, like, kind of scenario, and this brings us to the fog of war stuff. So imagine you're the DM, right? And you've planned out this adventure, and you've made this virtual map with all of your traps and your monsters and your dungeons and stuff in it. And your friends are sitting around the table with you. Some of them are connected to your game board remotely as well. And so you can do these theatrics, which wouldn't be possible before. So you could do things like with hand tracking, you'd be like, an eerie mist settles into the village. And as you wave your hand across the game board, an eerie mist is actually coming out of your hand. And your friends that are logged in remotely are seeing like this virtual representation of your hand, and the eerie fog is settling into the village. And like, wow, that theatrics is going to be great. And then the fog of war, since they can't see what's coming up, but you can have these dramatic reveals. You can be something like, the villagers told you not to enter the cave, but you did enter anyway. And then you click something on your wand, and the monster springs up.
Wow.
Yeah. And so one of our partners, we're working with Fantasy Grounds. So they're one of the big online RPG platforms. So they're super excited about what we're doing, and they're going to support our system. So those kinds of capabilities over time are going to be unlocked through their platform, and probably other platforms as well.
Now, do you see traditional board games? Like, I'm looking behind you, for example, you have Betrayal Legacy behind you. Do you see this platform being able to just take a board game like that and say, I want to play that game on Tilt 5? Can you? Is that where you want it to go?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that opens up a lot of possibilities. So whether you're actually using the physical tokens and pieces, or it's completely virtual, I think that opens up a lot of, it takes the barrier down of actually playing. So if you're having a long session, right, you can just save your game and come back to it later. Yeah. And then, like, if you're using the physical pieces, the computer can just tell you where to put your physical pieces. So setup will just be like instantly. You can save and come in and out. Or if you want to play a game of Catan or something like that, that's kind of a bit more casual, you could go to a public lobby somewhere and just find a stranger to play with. Like, hey, let's find 3 or 4 people, to play, an hour game of Catan. And you could just do that. And there's a bunch of platforms out there. We're going to be making some announcements around it, but there's platforms that just have hundreds and thousands of tabletop games that you can just purchase for next to nothing and
That's awesome.
And be able to play. And I think it's going to be exciting for the board game manufacturers as well, because I spend a lot of time, I go on the Jonathan Colton cruise, which is super nerdy. If you've ever, if you guys don't know about it, check it out. It's awesome. But a lot of board game designers go there and they do a lot of talks. And so I went up and talked to them, like, what do you guys think about virtual board games? And like overwhelmingly, they say like, we love it. Like,
Oh yeah.
we don't see any competition. Like if someone makes a virtual version, we just see upticks in the actual physical items because I'm the same way. I'm a collector. So like even if I get a digital version of something, like if there's a physical version of it, I'm going to get it anyway. So it makes total sense that the more people we get playing more virtualized versions of games, the more physical versions we'll be able they'll see.
Yeah.
So,
I love
and
the
plus
idea.
they monetize it on our system too and make
Yeah.
money on our system.
I love the idea that you can take the actual pieces from the physical game though and still put it in the virtual world. Like those pieces can still represent pieces on your game board. So the world may be
So,
virtual, but you can still have the physical pieces.
Yeah, so in the headset, for the folks that want more technical details, we have 2 cameras in here. So these 2 cameras, one of them is just tracking the wand and your head position. So where are you around the table and what's your position? And that goes down to the game. And then we have another camera, it's super high resolution. And we have all these tricks around infrared illumination where we can strobe infrared illumination. We can pick up things like playing cards. There's various ways that we can detect those. We can detect complicated objects like miniatures or simple objects like little meeples and get those into your virtual space. And there's just like 1,000 different ways that you can interface to and detect these real pieces.
So the Tilt 5 hardware consists of the headset or the glasses, a wand, and a game board. How big is the game board itself, or the table, whatever you want to call it? Do you call it a game board?
A game board,
Yeah.
which is interesting because it's not only a game system. Like we have all these people approaching us to do productivity apps, and
The virtual
it's always
board.
yeah. We struggle with that internally. We always call it the game board, but then the people that want to do productivity stuff with it are like rail at that game board. It's
Right,
like, You're not doing a game. So the game board, the base one is, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's going to be just about right. It's like 3/4 of a meter square-ish. Let me.
Okay.
It's I'm just reading it here. 31.5 by 31.5 by 42.
Yeah. The
On the
rectangle.
large.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good
And
size.
yeah. We did a lot of jumping into people's homes and like, hey, can we set up our game board? Can we actually try this in your home? And so we shrunk and grew the board over the last few years to find like the right sizes for various configurations. So like the rectangle or the square board is really nice for coffee tables, and you still have room on your coffee table to have your beer, pizza, and chips. Which
I kind of just geeked out a little bit thinking about Fantasy Flight's Star Wars X-Wing game. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing in AR.
Oh, that would
yeah.
so well. Yeah.
That would work really well.
If you guys work there, we want to talk to you.
I wish I worked there. But yeah, Fantasy Flight games, there's so many of their games would work so well in AR. You should reach out to them for sure. That would be awesome.
We're in an interesting situation right now. So we're a really tiny company. So we're actually drowning in opportunity. It's hard for us to keep up. But we're doing a Kickstarter now, and it's going really, really well. So that means that new opportunities to bring personnel on board is going to be there for us. So we'll get better at being able to work with more and more developers.
Awesome.
But yeah, there's over a dozen developers working with our old developer kits, and we're just refreshing all of their developer kits to the new snazzy glasses. I'm super proud. I mean, so I don't know if it's going to make it into this cut of the video, but Cast AR, we did a lot of work, but pretty much this entire design has happened in the last couple of years. So all of this new reprojection technology that lets us plug into phones and plug into computers happened this year. All the production tooling. So we're working through just the last of our manufacturing issues. Like right now, I've been going back and forth with the factory. Like this hinge is supposed to latch and it's supposed to be flat across here, but we misaligned a hole on the pin that goes through there, and we're like super close to getting this out.
That's really cool. It looks great too.
It does, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny. I love I've been doing YouTube and been a presence on the internet for quite some time. I just love when the trolls come out. It's so fun. It's it's we put a lot of thought. We did a lot of studies. We talked to a lot of people, and the color and the shape of the first version of this was very intentional. And the trolls love to make fun of it, but it doesn't bother me one bit. I don't care. I don't care that this looks like a barbecue lighter.
Whatever.
The trolls came out and they're like, that looks like a stupid barbecue lighter. You're stupid, stupid, stupid. I'm like, okay. So we went over and I made a barbecue lighter demo in Unity, and I just posted a GIF online. Like, yeah, here, click, and a little flame, and I said stuff. Like, screw you guys.
Nice. So it's on Kickstarter now.
Yeah.
And when are you hoping to have the product ready for Kickstarter supporters?
So we have some super early kits, and so do not back us if you are not ready for bugs. So we have the super early developers, people that like to hunt down bugs, and that one's $1,500. You get the production glasses afterwards as well, so you get both.
Okay.
The bug-ridden ones, and those are going to be Q1 of next year, pretty early. And then Q2 are going to be the production ones. And we've sold so many so far. It's going gangbusters on Kickstarter right now that we've sold our first batch that are going to go out in June, and now we've opened up the batch that are going to go out in July. And I suspect by the end of the month, the July shipments are going to be full. We're going to be into August at least. So if you're interested in getting it like first thing, you probably want to get in there right away, or you might have to wait until August to get one of them. We're doing that. I've been in manufacturing for quite a while, and I know the limits of what we can do. And it's going to be a lot of work for us to get these things out worldwide. We're trying to make it super friendly for people that are overseas. So we've been working with a logistics company to do direct injection into Europe so that we can bypass some of the extra fees, and doing the same thing into other markets. But yeah, it's gonna be tricky, even though it's gonna be like 1,000 units in June or whatever it is. It's gonna take a lot of work just to get those first 1,000 out.
Now, if somebody misses the Kickstarter, because usually Kickstarters are 30 days or so, will they be able to pre-order on your Tilt 5 website?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to continue selling via some to be determined means, but we're not going to deliver any of those until the Kickstarters are fulfilled. So those will be after August, probably.
Sure. Awesome. Well, that is awesome. Is there anything else you want to say before we say goodnight?
Oh my God, I can go on and on. I can go on and on about. There's just so many things around tabletop games and social video games that the system can do. It's hard to just get it all out in a short little interview.
I love what you're doing. It's absolutely amazing. Virtual tabletop that you can play a tabletop game with someone who's not even in the room with you, and I think that is amazing because Tico and I talk about this all the time. Like, we're both in different cities, but we're always trying to play games together, and it's hard to organize. If we were able to do that virtually with something like Tilt 5, that would be amazing. Because then we could play anywhere. I could just set up on my table. He sets up on his.
We're playing tomorrow. We don't have to worry about travel, about the weather, or anything.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing.
I mean, linking game boards together, that I'm just most excited about that. And the second thing I'm most excited about is bringing people around the table and like having that heightened experience, like the things I was talking about at Valve. It's like, there's nothing like being around the table with your friends. And if we can at least get you 80% of that feeling when you're playing remote, like, it's going to be magical.
Well, I must say, there's nothing like playing a game with your friends around a table. There's also nothing like playing a virtual game in 3D on
Yeah.
a table. So
I know it's jaw dropping. We went to Penny Arcade, Gen Con, XOXO, a bunch of different events, and like I just can't get over hearing people. So the first thing they say is like when they do this, they're like, "Oh wow!" Like every single time. And then when they recognize that they can still see their hands, they can see their friends and their phone, and they can drink their beer, and like they're just like, "I'm
the
sold."
important things.
The important things, the
That's
beer.
right. Well, Jeri, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about Tilt 5. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Good luck
you.
with everything.
Thanks for helping us get the word out.
Of course, absolutely. I am excited for this product. It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jeri, for coming on the show. We really enjoyed your time. So if you enjoyed that interview, of course, go to our YouTube channel because we have the complete interview, which is a little over an hour with Jeri. Jeri basically gives us her industry history and how and all the different steps it took her to get to where she is now, and it is a fascinating story. All the stuff that she's done in her life, it's so great. So go check out that interview. It'll be up on our YouTube channel shortly after this show airs as well. So thank you again, Jeri, for coming on the show. So we've got television and movies to talk about, but first,
Yes.
Tico, I just want one more time.
Just make sure.
Just
that
make
it's-
sure. Let's check one last time if Spider-Man is still in the MCU. Let's check it. Is he still with us? Yes, he is. Fantastic. Nothing's changed between last week and this week. I am happy. All right, that's the last time we're going to check until something major happens, and hopefully that'll be in a couple of years from now when they decide, okay, no more Spider-Man, and everyone's like, no, we want Spider-Man to continue forever.
Maybe somebody else will leave that we'll have to do this with.
Right, exactly.
Is Iron Man alive again? There you go.
Oh
Let's
gosh.
Start that up.
Hey, there you go. All right. So television season, of course, is continuing to start, and I finally got a chance to watch the new season of Titans. And last season, you and I were we were a little iffy on the show. It wasn't great. I think season 2 is actually fantastic compared to season 1.
So I'm only one episode in so far. I did enjoy the first episode, and it really does seem to sort of close off some of the season 1.
Yeah. Interesting story. The season 2 premiere was remember there was only 11 episodes in season 1.
Right.
The premiere of season 2 was supposed to be the 12th episode of season 1. They decided to hold it back to create that cliffhanger.
Okay.
So that's why it still felt like it was part of season 1.
And I think that's right. And now we get to sort of see them, branch out on this new story. We were introduced to Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Which I'm a big fan of Deathstroke. I've enjoyed him in the Arrowverse.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a fun character to have them
so
matching up against.
Yeah, it's season 2 is really ramping up, becoming more about the heroes and villains, which I like. It's still very dark and gritty.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing with Starfire, to be honest with you, because she's so far in 4 episodes, she's hardly been in it. Like, and I don't know if it's a budget thing, because Starfire's powers are all about the special effects.
It's all CG.
Even Gar, Beast Boy, hasn't done a single transformation yet. I feel like the actual Teen Titans that everyone knows are taking a backseat to the original Teen Titans, who was Robin or Dick Grayson, Hawk and Dove, and Wonder Girl and Aqualad. Right, so there's an episode with Aqualad as well. It tells something that happened 5 years ago. So I feel like they've suddenly taken a back seat to the original Titans. I'm thinking, what do you like? Listen, the show's great. I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I'm thinking, are all the characters you got us to know in season 1 just taking a back seat now? Like, what's going on? I almost feel like they have no direction.
Their path is a little askew at the moment, and maybe we'll see get better direction as a storyline sort of starts to develop in season 2 here.
Yeah, like season 1, they seem to want to take an entire episode to tell one little bit that was
backstory.
A backstory, right? They want to take an entire episode to tell a backstory. So it takes you away from everything you've been dealing with, and an entire week just to tell a backstory, and then you got to go back to where you were before.
Yeah. I will say this. It is hard to watch Hawk in this show, having just rewatched Brooklyn Nine-Nine and him being young Scully.
Oh, right. He was young Scully.
He was young Scully. And so I'm watching him in this now, and I can't not think that this is young Scully somehow.
Yes. Oh,
and
my gosh.
It just throws off that whole dynamic.
You're right. I remember that until they found the chicken wing place.
Yep.
And also, Family Guy started this week, and the premiere episode of Family Guy was
the honest
what
season premiere I have ever seen of any show ever. It made no sense.
None.
It was this whole thing, and then
it was also very morbid. The whole Meg Beeline story was so unbelievably morbid, and then the story itself never actually ended.
Yeah, they ran out of time, and it's like, how are we going to get out of this? And then it cut to them sitting on the couch. It's like, well, that was interesting, and then that was it. We didn't really.
And then there was this bizarre Casey Kasem ending to the show. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I was like, what? I mean, listen, I love the Family Guy. I've been watching it all, 15, 16 seasons?
22.
This was, what?
I don't know. I'm just saying a random number.
I'm pretty sure it's 16 seasons.
And a movie.
No, I'm rewatching Community, by the way.
Yeah, we have to figure out. We have to pick something to restart rewatching because we just finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, I'm rewatching Community. It's great. Season 5, of course, is sort of a reboot. So it's a little bit different. That's when Pierce leaves, and it's different. But that you keep seeing the signs up in the background. 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah.
6 seasons in a movie. Well, they got their 6 seasons, but they didn't get their movie.
Yet.
Well, it's been how many years?
I don't know. I mean, we just saw Deadwood get their movie after 10 years after they went off the air.
True.
Breaking Bad is getting another movie this month on Netflix.
Well, Breaking Bad's only been off the air a couple of years.
It's been about 5 years.
Oh my gosh, it's season 18 for Family Guy. So anyway, that's that. You watched a couple of new shows this week as well.
Yeah, so the first one, Prodigal Son, is a new crime drama. So the main protagonist in this show, his father is a famous serial killer. He is a profiler.
Oh, yeah.
And his father is a famous serial killer. And it really feels like, what if Hannibal Lecter had a kid who went into law enforcement? And it's like he's solving crimes because he's going to his dad, and his dad wants to have a relationship with him that he's broken off, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with his dad. But now his dad has some insights into some crimes, and he's going to his dad and having a relationship with his father in order to catch criminals.
Is it good?
I actually really enjoyed the first episode. It is darker. It is a little grittier. It's not that sort of there's not really, it's not a light show.
So he's using his father to get into the mind of a criminal.
Right. It's like what Clarice did with Hannibal Lecter, but it's,
right.
If she was related to Hannibal Lecter, that's basically
a bit of a
concept.
Like a Silence of the Lambs, the TV show.
Yes.
Without being Hannibal. Right.
I enjoyed the first episode. It was well acted. I enjoyed the concept, and I'll continue to watch that one. I also watched a new show called Almost Family. This is
Dorothy and I read about that, and it sounds like I thought I had read a news article where this actually happened.
I think it may have, and somebody's decided to take this,
make it a TV show. Yeah,
yeah. So it is a comedy. It is a fertility clinic doctor who has been charged with using his own specimens for this, and so
for hundreds of children or something.
Hundreds of children. So it follows these 3 girls who One is the natural daughter of this doctor, and two others that she has found out she is now related to because her father has used his own specimen to, inseminate women. So there's obviously it's like a comedy-esque type show, but there's some more serious tones to it as well, because obviously the father's being charged with the district attorney's actually charging him with sexual assault.
Right.
Based off of this. So it's not like a super light comedy.
Now, is this a 1 hour show or a 30-minute show?
I don't know. It's one of those.
Great. Excellent. I'll look it up while you keep talking.
Oh, you're going to... Okay, I was going to look it up while I was talking, but you can look it up. It stars Timothy Hutton as the doctor. Brittany Snow, who people would recognize from the Pitch Perfect movies. As his daughter. So far it was an interesting episode. It's sort of right on the like tipping point of back and forth of, is this a comedy? Is this a serious?
It is a 45-minute drama according to IMDb.
Okay. All right. So like there's some comedic tones to it. But yeah, it feels more like serious content.
Okay. I find it amusing that they rate it as a drama, but you first came on and said it's a comedy. So either you take that content and think it's funny, or their writing isn't quite as dramatic as they want it to be.
I think that they're trying to make light of have a lighter tone to a very serious situation, which is why it's sort of like there's some comedic undertones to it.
Right.
So maybe it's not a comedy. Your cat's right behind you. Gonna puke again, I think.
No, he's not. He's already taken care of it over there.
All right. And I also watched a movie this week, a new movie called Stuber. Is
this the one with Drax? Yes.
So it's a buddy cop thing. So the name Stuber, the character, I can't remember the actor's name.
Dave Bautista?
No, the other actor.
Oh. I'll look it up.
You're gonna look. Okay, good. You're doing the looking. His character's name is Stu, and he is an Uber driver.
Okay.
So Dave Bautista is a cop, and he ends up having like LASIK done, so he's having some trouble seeing, so he can't drive, and he gets a tip to catch his white whale of a criminal.
It's Kumail Nanjiani.
Yes. Him.
Stu.
So it is Stuber.
Oh, he's the guy from yesterday.
No.
I think.
No, he's not.
Okay. Well, maybe not. Okay, continue.
He's from Silicon Valley.
Yes. Okay. That's why I recognized him.
Yeah. So he needs to. So he ends up he can't drive, so he has to call an Uber to try to get to this thing, and so they get tied together in this sort of weird buddy cop comedy thing. It is every single trope from a buddy cop comedy, but it is him as an Uber driver.
So it's worth watching?
No.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's not good.
Oh, okay.
I mean, listen, if every once in a while it's like I want to watch something while I play video games, so I don't have to focus that much on an in-depth story, that sort of thing. That's the type of movie this is. It is not a good movie by any means.
Okay.
But it's not terrible.
If you want to turn off your brain.
Yes,
just
it's a
watch
turn
something?
off your brain.
Right.
It is not one that you would be like, man, I got to pay attention to follow the plot, devices in this movie. No, you don't need to.
Okay, fair enough.
If you've seen any of the buddy cop movies ever, you've seen this movie already. It just involves an Uber.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. We have only one piece of news, which is good because we're running out of time already. Because of our wonderful interview with Jeri. Marvel has said that they actually want John Bernthal's Punisher to be part of the MCU.
Well, I want that as well.
That's pretty cool. Although I do wonder, because of the nature of the MCU, how does the Punisher fit into that? The Punisher is an R-rated character.
Yeah,
right?
And he's exceptionally violent.
Right. So I love John Bernthal as Punisher. I think he was the perfect choice.
Yeah.
And he plays the character so well, but I don't know how that fits. I'd actually go so far as to say I don't even know how Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage even fit into the MCU as we know it.
Well, the grittiness of that universe, the Netflix universe, I think would need to be
Lightened
like
or
lightened. Yeah, like the grittiness, like these characters, I think can be part of the MCU, but it would need to be absolutely 100%. I don't want to say Disneyfied, but like
well,
that's like.
I mean, yeah, and I don't disagree with you because those shows had a very distinct look to them that didn't fit the movies.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you're going to take a character like, say, Daredevil or Punisher and put them in the MCU without altering them.
Well, yeah, because all of those characters are very brooding.
Yes.
Right? And the MCU is not very, like, I can't even think.
It's more comedic action.
Yeah.
Right?
And
it's lighthearted, humorous, comedic action.
now you can take, like, I mean, the first Punisher, the Thomas Jane Punisher movie, had some comedic undertones to it. I mean,
yeah, but what I'm saying is, does that fit John Bernthal's character? Could you
No.
take him out of the Netflix world that he was part of and put him in the MCU without changing him? I don't think you can.
no. I think it would be very, very odd. I think it would stick out. Like I'm trying to mentally pick him up and drop him into that universe somehow.
I don't think it works.
No.
I don't think Daredevil would work. I don't think Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. I don't think any of them would. As much as I'd love to see them,
Jessica Jones would be the closest that I can see, just because of the sarcastic attitude and stuff like that. She would be the closest that I can see fitting into that universe.
Yeah. Yes.
Of any of them.
Yes. Agreed. Because, but certainly not like Daredevil or Punisher.
No.
We'll see. That's Marvel saying, that I think it was Kevin Feige said he'd love to see John Bernthal brought over to the MCU as Punisher. So we'll see. I mean, they've already got their docket set for the next 5 years. Who knows if Punisher's part of it? We may not see it for another 5 years or more, right? At that point, It's going to get to the point where the Netflix shows don't matter anymore. So now we've got a new version of Punisher to put as part of the MCU, and John Bernthal is the Punisher still. So, anyway, that is pretty much it for this episode. Sorry we did not get to the news about gaming, but lots of stuff with PlayStation, and maybe we'll see if it's still worth talking about next week. But that is it for this week. So, Tico, why don't you take us out?
All right. Follow the show on Twitter at the OMG Hour. Like, subscribe, and comment. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Second Place. And then you can also check us out on YouTube at youtube.com OMG Nexus.
I just lost you for a second. Yes, youtube.com/OMG Nexus. Of course, I am Ziantane everywhere, and that is XIANTAYNE. Don't forget to check out my extra life at bit.ly/extra Sean. You can see right there on the screen at the bottom. I've got lots of games to give away, such as Gears 5 and even Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now that it's out, I will learn how many copies we've got to give away. Sekiro and Crash Team Nitro-Fueled. And I've got more games coming. I've got confirmation for some other games that are coming. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I'm going to have Control, the recent release of Control, to give away. We'll see how that goes. But I don't have confirmation on that yet. I'm hoping that's what it is. But check it out, bit.ly/extra Sean. I'd like to get to $1,000 very soon, and I'd like to ultimately I'd like to get to 3,000 on my 10th and final year of doing it. So thank you for all your help. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This has been episode number 344 of the OMG Hour. We'll be back again next week.
Bye, guys.
This has been an OMGNexus.com production.